You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. We got a lot to talk about on the podcast today, and we're going to cover as much as we can. You know, I want to talk about this FBI operation sending undercover agents in the Catholic churches, and this is a very scary story. But before we get to that, I just want to mention this thing because I've gotten a lot of feedback today. One guy called me on the air about it, about this DM I got from Eric Trump today when I was on the radio, and several people have said that I'm very starstruck when it comes to the Trumps, and you're correct about that. You're very correct. And I have met a lot of very famous people. I mean, very famous people. I've met other presidents. I've met all of our governors and congressmen, movie stars. I've met like some of the people that I'm a huge fan of, like William Shatner, spent time with William Shatner. I've been out to dinner with famous people and all this stuff throughout my whole life during different things I've done, being in the radio business and other things. And I really don't get starstruck, except around the Trumps. But I just want to explain what happened today and why I get so excited about it. You know, I didn't get this DM until 7 o'clock. I don't check my messages while I'm on the air. And I get my text messages in case, you have to get a hold of me, Kathy. I keep my text messages on in case you have to reach me. But I have all my notifications off when I'm on the air because it's distracting. And sometimes during the breaks, I check my messages. And I saw on my Twitter a message that said Eric Trump, and I didn't think it was real because you know how many people have fake Twitter accounts with different people's pictures? And I just clicked on it to see who it was. I almost didn't even read it, okay? And it was the real Eric Trump. And he sent me a really nice DM, and he said, Brian, listening to the show on the way to Fort Lauderdale Airport, a big thank you for the support and kindness. Tell your listeners I say hi, Eric, Eric Trump. And it really is Eric Trump. And it was very exciting.
That is exciting.
And the reason that I got excited about that is not just being starstruck. I am one of the biggest, most vocal advocates of Donald Trump on this planet, if not the biggest. Okay? And I proudly say, I will never disagree nor criticize Donald Trump. I've said that for years. And I get a lot of criticism for that from other broadcasters who say, you can't do that. You'll have no credibility. First off, Donald Trump has enough people criticizing him. He doesn't need me doing it. But it's not like he's done things I would criticize and I'm hiding. He's not done anything wrong. Anytime you think Donald Trump's made a mistake, he's always shown to be right in the end. And Eric Trump, listening to me on the radio in his car on the way to the airport and going to the trouble of looking me up on Twitter. He followed me on Twitter and sent me a DM is an acknowledgement that he likes what I'm doing. And what I was doing today in particular was a perfect day. If I knew Eric Trump was listening, I couldn't have picked a better topic. I was talking about what we talked about on the podcast yesterday. I got into some more detail on the radio about that Truth Social post of President Trump's when he's throwing this lifeline to DeSantis, saying, hey, listen, you're unelectable forever. Okay, you messed up, but drop out of this race. And he didn't say it in these words. I'm paraphrasing. And I'll make you secretary of something and you'll have a future. Maybe people will forget, in 6 years. I'm not, but you're going to forget, but maybe people will. And I talked about how he is running this hopeless campaign. He's got this illegal presidential campaign going on. He's got this presidential campaign disguised as a book tour. It's illegal, according to the FEC. It's illegal under Florida law. He's lied to the Florida people. We're Floridians. He's lied to us. He's betrayed Trump. He's betrayed Matt. All this. I went through this whole thing, and then I get this DM. Eric Trump heard that whole thing. I was like, oh my goodness. In
all fairness, with DeSantis, he is being advised by Jeb Bush, and Jeb Bush
and Paul Ryan
was convinced he was going to win.
The turtle.
The turtle. I remember when he was running and he kept losing and moving further on down the stage, and he kept saying, I'm going to still win. And, the turtle wins and blah, blah, blah. So what they're telling DeSantis, and I heard somebody on Fox say this who's close to the DeSantis crew, and she said, and we had talked about this, she said, well, he hasn't announced officially, and when he does, those poll numbers will drastically change. Yeah. And that's what they keep telling him, even though there was just another poll that came out, and the gap's even wider between Trump and DeSantis.
Double digits in every poll lead.
But they keep telling themselves when he announces, whenever the hell that is, he's dragging his feet here. I think this summer, I guess, after Memorial Day. But then things will change and this and that. I don't think so. I think his some of the things he's doing are really hurting him. I think this obsession with Disney is making him look very anti-business.
It's like, Disney is his Moby Dick.
And petty. Yeah, exactly.
He's looking bad.
That's right. They got the best of him, and he can't admit it. I mean, he got played. And other things, I like DeSantis, but the way he acted with Trump, with Alvin Bragg, really, and what he said about Floridians not having culture really pissed me off.
Just to finish up with this thing with Eric Trump, getting that message from Eric Trump to me was like winning an award. It's like an actor who wins an Oscar or an Emmy. It's just like an acknowledgement, like, okay, I hear you. And I agree with you, and you have our approval for what you're doing.
I sent the image. I took a screenshot of the DM. And I sent it to our daughter, and she just wrote back. She says, "Whoa!"
Yeah, exactly.
She was pretty impressed.
Yeah, pretty cool.
It's pretty cool.
I don't know if she'll show it to her friends out in California. They may not approve.
Probably not.
So that's what happened. And what Kathy was talking about with Ron DeSantis. These people behind Ron DeSantis that messed up his entire political career. On my show this morning on my YouTube live stream, the thumbnail it says Ron DeSantis is unelectable forever. Yeah. And that's not an understatement. And these people that are backing him, when he made the first comment that he wouldn't interfere with Bragg coming down here and arresting President Trump, and he said, I'm not going to get involved. He had a couple of opportunities to correct that, and he didn't. He doubled down on that ridiculous position and made things a lot worse, and it's unforgivable. He can never be trusted again. But these people that are backing him, Jeb Bush, Paul Ryan, and all these Karl Roves and all these jerks, they know that his career is over. They know he's unelectable now. Believe me, they know. But they also know they can keep him public, even though he's double digits behind Trump already. He'll be even further behind as time goes on. They're sacrificing him. They don't care about him and his career. They're letting him destroy himself to use him to try to get revenge against Trump. And they do not have his best interest in mind. And this Truth Social post to President Trump's yesterday, if Ron DeSantis announced he wasn't running and completed the term and stopped bashing Trump and got on board, President Trump would give him a job in the second administration. And that's his only hope of having a future, because I'm here to tell you, I will not vote for that man again because I cannot believe him. He betrayed us.
Even Gavin Newsom, they were talking on the news. I don't think he's a lunatic. If you watch him talk in interviews, he's completely insane. But I don't think he'd even run against Biden. I think he's waiting till 2028 because he keeps trolling DeSantis a lot because he sees a matchup between the two in 2028. Yeah. And I think he's attacking him now to kind of get that going, which is kind of psychotic when you think about it. I've never really seen that kind of trolling happening like so early on, but I think he's seeing a matchup then, maybe. But even he is, I think, not going to run now against next year against Biden. I think he hasn't announced or done anything. I think even he's going to wait because Biden is going to run again, God help us. And he's the incumbent. And I think he's like, I'm a young guy and, I'm just going to, he's still governor, going to finish out the term and then start running for
He's holding his last elected office.
California is a complete mess. And I just read that Whole Foods, which is based in San Francisco, Whole Foods started in Fort Lauderdale. I remember when it first opened, in Plantation was the first Whole Foods, like in the late 80s, early 90s.
It had a different name.
No, I don't think so. And it was Howard Stern's cousin.
Yeah, it was called Bread of Life.
Bread of Life, that's it.
I used to do commercials for them on the radio.
And then they sold. Yeah. There was a one grocery
it was
store.
Howard Stern's cousin Richie.
Yeah, in Plantation, Florida, where I grew up, and we used to shop there. Cousin Richie, like in the late 80s, and it was brand new, and it was very popular. And they got bought out by Whole Foods and became this big, huge national company. And anyway, their main flagship store is in San Francisco. They've just closed their flagship store because the crime, and there's so many, they said all the carts have been stolen by the homeless because that's where they keep all their stuff in their shopping carts. Every single cart, 300 of them were stolen.
And those carts are not cheap.
They having homeless people in the bathrooms shooting up drugs. I don't know what's going on, and they have a liberal mayor out there, some woman, but that city is a complete disaster. And I put up a graphic in your Facebook group showing the states and the people leaving, and the people, Florida, Texas, Arizona are showing growth. And then you have New York, California, and other states have a major loss. Does Gavin Newsom have a personality disorder? Is he incapable of looking at his state and realizing, wow, things are not good, I need to fix this?
Gavin Newsom, like Gretchen Whitmer, is insane.
If you he has his eyes on the White House, so he doesn't care about California.
If you look in Gavin Newsom's eyes when he does interviews, he's insane. He's not a sane person. But the thing about San Francisco, it all started with this Cash App guy's death. And I said the next day, as soon as that story came out, I said, I'm not so sure that this Cash App guy was killed just by local crime. You know, Cash App is a very sketchy financial thing. Very sketchy. I don't even know how to describe it. I know.
Why is it sketchy?
It's just a weird financial app where people do banking and buy stock. It's a very sketch thing. I wouldn't.
That city's had problems.
I wouldn't say Cash App is like crypto, but it's one of those strange things like this Bankman character. It's just Cash App is just a sketch thing. And one of the officials out in San Francisco says when the true story comes out about this, because we're gathering evidence, and when the true story comes out,
the mayor
it's not the crime.
Said it.
Yeah, it's not the crime in San Francisco.
No, she's going to say
that very well could have something to do with this Cash App business. But with that being said, I don't know what's going on in California. Our daughter's out there in Los Angeles, and she was showing me on the Apple Maps where Skid Row was marked, and it's all red. You're not supposed to drive over there, in Los Angeles. She said
they love Gavin Newsom out. Now, she's a conservative, but she said they love the guy out here. She said they're crazy.
Kathy and I, for relaxation, we watch things on YouTube. We have on the TV all the time that are just quite – a lot of times we have on – there's a live web camera of the beach by our house.
Yeah.
And we have that on a lot. And one of the beaches by our house, and it's
like a live cam.
A live cam. And Kathy and I watch live cams, and we also watch a lot of people that walk around the cities. Like there's some YouTubers.
Or drive-thrus.
There's some YouTubers we watch in New York that just walk around the city. And we started watching YouTubers out in Los Angeles because our daughter's out there that are just driving around Los Angeles. And I was telling you, Kathy, this one, you know how it is on YouTube, you're watching something and you get all these recommendations. So we're watching all these people driving around Los Angeles and places I've never seen. It's very nice. And, I've been out there before.
California's beautiful.
But
there's a beautiful state.
There's this one guy, his whole YouTube channel is driving through this part of Los Angeles. I'm going to get the name of the street wrong. I'm sure somebody out there will correct me. It sounds something like Figueroa, and it's where all the prostitutes are.
Oh.
And this guy's driving around this neighborhood in the middle of the day in the broad daylight, and there's a prostitute like every 15 or 20 feet, every corner. You get to a corner where there's 4 corners, there's 4 prostitutes. If there's 2 corners, like this little street, and you came out, there's 2. If there's, it's very bizarre. And the clothes they wear, and I just can't believe that. And I watch a lot of TV shows that are crime shows over the years, and I hear them talking about this road a lot, and I understand why.
Brian called Emily and told her not to go.
I called our daughter, and I said, "Don't stay away from Figueroa,"
because she's not too familiar with the area.
I'm not either, and I hope she doesn't live anywhere near this place.
No, she doesn't.
But it's amazing to me what people put up with, and here in our community, we had a big problem with panhandlers about 10 years ago. And a lot of panhandlers come to Florida with the birds in the winter because it's cold up north.
Yeah.
And then when it gets hot and humid, they go back up north, and then it gets cold up north, and they come down with the birds. And and we live in the same county as President Trump, right? Palm Beach County, where Mar-a-Lago is. And there were panhandlers on every street corner. And sometimes you'd be at an intersection. There's there's one at each light. And I used to have a soft top Jeep Wrangler, and I always drove it with the top off and the doors off. And sometimes these homeless people would reach into the car, and it was so.
And they'd walk through the traffic. It was
so bad. We passed an ordinance against panhandling, and even in Palm Beach County, where Mar-a-Lago is a very Democrat county, and even in this liberal Democrat county, we were able to pass this law against panhandling in the streets, even the liberals here. But in California, it's like a way of life.
Well, is it true what the news is saying that these DAs and these mayors are being paid
George
by
Soros?
George Soros?
Yes.
Is that really true?
Yes, that's true.
To let this crime run rampant. Why is he doing this? I don't understand. Why does he hate America so much? Why? I don't get it. What's his motivation?
George, just to tell people what you're. And I know a lot of you know this, but not everyone knows. About 15 years ago, George Soros got involved in local politics by backing state's attorneys, things like, and the district attorneys and things like this. And the crime problem we have in this country today, coast to coast in the major cities, is because George Soros has these brag-like people that
they do nothing.
That make misdemeanors felonies and felonies misdemeanors and don't put people in jail.
That's right.
And it's hard to say for certain why he does this. People say he hates America. I think George Soros is just an angry guy who's got as much money as a man could possibly have, and he just likes screwing things up and enjoys
sitting
it.
back and watching everything fall apart.
It's not that he hates America. I'm sure he does, but I think I think he gets pleasure out of watching the chaos that he can cause. It gives him a feeling of power.
It's sad because they're destroying these once great cities. I've been to San Francisco. I went when I was 13. I'd never been before. And we went for a family trip because my stepmom's from there. And I loved it. I thought it was a beautiful place. The food was amazing. I was like, wow, it's the first time I've been to California. I loved it. We went to Alcatraz. It was a really cool trip that we went on. And I told Emily, I talked to her yesterday, and because she talks about traveling around California, and I said, don't go to San Francisco right now, because she's mentioned it. And because there is so much to see there. And I said, just wait. I said, there is so much crime. And I told her the Whole Foods had to close because there's so many homeless and drug addicts. And she said, oh my gosh. And I said, it's not safe. Go somewhere else. Go to other parts of California. So I worry about her doing that, but she's like, okay. And I said, just don't go right now. It's just not a safe place. I don't understand, but it's really too bad. But what's happening is it's happening in Portland. Like we have friends also from Washington that send us articles all the time. And you have in the Seattle area and Portland and now San Francisco, people are closing their businesses because there is so much crime and drug use, and they are closing up shop and leaving and moving to other states. So leave. That's all you can do, I guess, is leave. They're not doing anything to stop it.
Someone I know has a business in the downtown area of Portland, Oregon, and they told me in Portland, the homeless, it's that they have troughs like you would have on a farm for horses and cows. The city put these troughs out, and they refill them with water pretty much every day so the homeless can bathe in them.
So they're literally treating them like animals.
Well,
liberals get off on this power over people. It's crazy.
When I was a little younger in the early 90s, there was very liberal leadership in Fort Lauderdale, where I grew up in Fort Lauderdale here in Florida, and they had a homeless problem. And they started a tent city.
That's right.
And then they moved them in front of the public library in downtown Fort Lauderdale.
I remember that.
This went on for many years. And then after we, when we were married and moved to where we live now, and our daughter was, I went down to Fort Lauderdale with her, and I drove by the public library with the windows down because it was a nice day. And I was about a block away, and I could smell them.
Oh.
And they've since run them off. And I'm not mean.
Yeah, because Fort Lauderdale's really changing. It's much more, it's really nice.
I'm not mean or inhumane to homeless people. But in Florida, we have these ducks in all of our lakes and canals. And the worst thing you can do is feed a duck. And when people first move to Florida, people that are new to Florida are probably encountering this. They see these ducks, and they're cute ducks, and they're so friendly. And they'll run inside, and they'll get a piece of bread, and they'll give the duck a piece of bread. Then the next day, there's 10 ducks. And then the day after that, there's 100 ducks. They tell all the other ducks.
Green poop all over your driveway.
And they do. They go to the bathroom all over your driveway and the sidewalk. Yeah. And they're very entitled. Like if you don't feed them, these ducks,
they get aggressive.
They get very aggressive. They'll attack you if you don't feed them. And that's how the homeless people are.
It's one thing to help people, but it's another thing to enable and encourage.
Yeah. And
handing out needles is encouraging drug use, like handing out condoms at school encourages sex with kids. Mm-hmm. It's encouraging the behavior. But I wanted to say before I forgot, because I had a revelation yesterday, and I told you about this. And I just realized why the Democrats are embracing this whole trans movement.
Well, you know what? Let's take our break, and then you can share that after the break, all right? We're going to take our first break. We've got a lot to talk about, and when we get back, we'll get into this that Kathy just mentioned, but we'll also, in the next segment, talk about these undercover agents that have been infiltrating the Catholic Church that Jim Jordan broke. And I want to talk about that because that is a very scary thing. You're listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be right back.
Hey, good morning, Brian. It's Lisa, and my husband and I received our My Pillow 2.0 that we ordered with Kane the other day, the buy one, get one free, and they're our first My Pillows, and we love them. We absolutely love them. They're just absolutely marvelous. Yeah, I'm so glad. I got slippers on the way, too.
Go to MyPillow.com and use our promo code Kane at checkout, K-A-N-E, and buy your My Pillow 2.0. Right now, buy one, get one free. You can also order by phone, toll free, 800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879. Promo code Kane. Robert Allen Miltenberg invites you to time travel with him to the Roman future. His new novella, available at Amazon.com and Barnes & Noble. It's the golden age of Rome, a time of peace and prosperity. And Scadius Commodius Lavatorius is its greatest scientist. But for all he's achieved, one question haunts him. Will Rome survive the test of time? There's only one way to find out. Come along on this cosmic romp of an adventure. See if you can read the signs any better than a brilliant scientist can. Prediction, science fiction, allegory, national glory. This is a satire at its most gladiatorial. Center stage in the Circus Maximus of your mind. A story of time machines and timeless politics, strange Roman cuisine and gambling parlor tricks, spinning gold and crossing the river Styx. That's the Roman future. Available on Kindle and paperback. Go to Amazon or Barnes & Noble now and visit The Roman Future by Robert Allen Miltenberg today. Does the idea of a freshly blended, ice-cold fruit smoothie sound delicious? Enjoy the refreshing convenience of blended drinks wherever you go with the electric portable fruit juicing blender, available at bestblenderplace.com. Bestblenderplace.com is your one-stop shop for high-quality blending products at affordable prices. When you visit the store, make sure to check out their best-selling portable blender. This versatile and convenient gadget is perfect for anyone who loves enjoying healthy drinks on the go. Whether you're relaxing at home or on the road, this compact and portable blender is perfect for whipping up fresh smoothies, juices, or other delicious drinks. It features a powerful motor and sharp blades, ensuring every drink you make is smooth and refreshing. It's the perfect gift, too, for anyone who has a busy life or just wants to enjoy fresh, delicious drinks whenever and wherever they want. Head to bestblenderplace.com to order yours right now. bestblenderplace.com.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks so much for tuning in. Yeah, so Kathy has this, unique theory on why the Democrats are pushing all this trans stuff.
Well, I read an article last week that in south side of Chicago, in the last election, Trump got over 500,000 votes.
In the south side of Chicago?
Yeah. which is predominantly African American, and Miami just flipped red, which is predominantly Hispanic. The Democrats have, since Trump came along, have lost millions and millions of minority voters.
Yeah.
Millions. And I feel like in a lot of ways they've kind of given up on trying to attract them. So what they're doing, and this might sound crazy, but I really think this is what's happening. What they're doing now is they're creating a whole new pool of voters by not only brainwashing these children, but convincing them that they're trans. And they're creating a whole trans community.
A new minority group.
A new minority group.
Because they're losing blacks.
That's right. They're creating a whole new minority group that they're embracing, encouraging, and creating that they can manipulate and tap into because the blacks have woken up. A lot of them and the Cubans and the Spanish have woken up and realized the Democrats are not their friends, and they're destroying all the cities and everything, and they're horrible people. And now they're creating a whole new voting block of people because of trans people. And you have all these young parents that are embracing this, that are liberal, that are like turning their kids trans, like brainwashing them from a very, very early age, raising them genderless and convincing them they can choose their gender and all this stuff. It's crazy. I know that sounds nuts, but I really think that's what they're doing.
This thing about
what do you think?
I think that's a big possibility. The problem they have with that, though, is that's a voting block that doesn't reproduce because they don't have that kind of sex.
Well, that's true.
So,
I guess they didn't think that far. They're living in the moment.
And I'm surprised all these shows on the national news that are talking about all this stuff all the time because it's a big thing. We've been talking about the Bud Light and all this. I haven't seen any psychiatrist or psychologist on television discussing why all of a sudden do we have all these gay and trans people in numbers that are just insane.
They're really taking advantage of these young children that
there's
are
something not
feeling
right
rejected
here.
And that are feeling like outcasts, which there's always kids like that. Most kids in high school are that way. Very few kids are the popular kids. Most kids feel like outcasts.
The trans are
and they're tapping into that and taking advantage of those kids.
When we were in school, there were the goth kids. And instead of goth, they now have trans kids. The outcasts make themselves outcasts by going goth. Now they become trans. So it's a
trendy
thing.
And I think that they're creating more. There's no way all of a sudden there's all these trans people. I think they're creating them from an early age and convincing them. Yeah. And they're doing it to create a whole new block of voters.
This thing about parents getting sex change operations on their children is crazy. Our daughter, when she was a kid, had to get 2 surgeries. The second surgery she had to get was to get her gallbladder removed.
Yeah, when she was 15.
And before that, she had to get her thyroid removed. She had a thyroid problem. And the thyroid, there's 2 treatments for the thyroid. It can either be removed, and then you're on medication for life, or they can use radiation. And the radiation in girls can make it so they can't have children when they grow up. So she had to get the operation to have her thyroid removed. And I remember with that thyroid operation decision was like the biggest decision I've ever made in my life. And it was very difficult for us it was scary
she was for like our 13 years old.
Yeah, it was scary for our child to have to get surgery.
She had never had surgery before.
No, and it was a scary thing, and it was a tough time, and I was sick about it. And then when she had the surgery to have her thyroid removed, which is a routine procedure.
Yeah, I've had it done too.
That was a tough time, and the doctor took her time because she doesn't want any scarring. Her daughter has no scarring from it.
And that's not an elective surgery. That she had to get that done.
Yeah. And I remember the surgery took about 2.5 hours. And the doctor said, listen, it takes me longer because I take my time because I don't want any scarring. So don't get nervous when the other people are coming out and the surgery's over. And even though she told us all this, 2.5 hours in, I was sick. I thought there was something, the surgery had gone wrong. I was scared to death. And I was talking to the nurses. I couldn't get answers. And then obviously it was And that was with a non-elective surgery that had to be done. We either had to get the radiation treatment, which would have prevented her from having children, or the surgery. I mean, it was not elective at all. And she was very, very sick.
She had an overactive thyroid, really bad.
Very bad. She was very, very sick, and she couldn't function. We had to get this done. It was not elective. And I could not imagine signing off on elective major surgery. The sex change operations they're doing are massive surgeries. And to do that electively on your child
I'm going to find something I tweeted.
Is a special kind of sickness in a parent that would allow something like that.
I tweeted something earlier, and it's a video from TikTok of a teenage girl who's transitioning to a boy, and she had her breasts removed. She has a huge scar. She's got her shirt off. Here it is. And then she's got another person who had their breasts removed. I'll play this for you. Okay, so listen to this. This was on TikTok. Somebody put on Twitter this morning. Listen, this is 2 teenage girls transitioning to boys.
This boy just got top surgery, and he's sitting there, sitting here, and I want to tell you about the journey so far. He's under for surgery. Hours later, they bring me. They say he's ready. He can see you. I go to the recovery room, and his surgeon is crouched over him, and there's blood just pouring out of his scars. It's disgusting, and they say we have to take him back in. And I'm like, okay. Right? Going out without a fight. A blood vessel popped. There was blood everywhere. They had to put him back under and fix it up. Lost his armpit hair in the process. His right armpit. The other one, not get shaved. Why? Into an anime character, I have no nipples, but he is trying to keep his nipples. So under there are some nipple bolsters, and we'll see if they stay.
Okay, right, those are 2.
Well, thanks for playing that, Kathy.
Those are 2 kids under 18 years old.
Wow!
And if you go on Brian's Twitter and scroll down, you'll see the one has his shirt off. The one talking has 2 huge scars where the breasts were removed. It's obviously a girl with short hair. She's transitioning to a boy. She looks like she's about 15. And what's weird is they are together. Like, the one just had the surgery and the other one's there. How do they know each other? I mean, are they like in some support group?
I don't know.
Let me tell you something. It is frightening to me that these young parents, so this person's like 15, so their parents are like young millennials. These parents think this is okay. And
they signed off on it.
This shows you the power of social media, of the media in general, movies. They normalize these things. And the parents, I know there's kids that are confused and stuff, but 15, 16 years old is not the time to get their boobs cut off. I'm sorry. Maybe they're dealing with it and it's stressful and they're strapping it down, whatever. But I would say if it was my kid, look, just wait till you're at least 18. I mean, this is crazy. They're just too young.
I wish you wouldn't have played that audio because that's disturbing. But
sorry, that's the truth, though.
Listening to those 2 kids, do they sound mature enough to make a decision like that?
No. And if
they're
you
very
look
childish.
at them, they don't even look like, the one doesn't even look like they've gone through really puberty yet at all. Yeah. I mean, they're really young.
Well,
it's really sad.
The doctors that are doing this, this is the thing about doctors. There's a lot of good doctors. I know doctors. I'm friends with doctors. But there's a lot of doctors. Yeah. And a lot of doctors become doctors for the money.
This is big money.
And
big money.
I don't know what these sex change operations call, which they don't even call them that anymore, by the way. If you notice sex change operations, you don't hear that term.
Gender affirming.
Yeah. These sex change operations have to be incredibly expensive. I don't know how much is covered by insurance, but it's got to be lucrative for the doctors.
And I don't know if it's covered by insurance now. It might be now.
Who knows? But it's got to be lucrative for the doctors. And a lot of doctors, they do all kinds of things for money, okay? And I remember there have been controversies over the years about, you don't hear this too much anymore, but about teenage girls in high school getting breast implants. And there's been stories in the news where sadly girls have died.
Yeah, it happened here in
having breast implants done. They die on the table from the anesthesia reaction and things like this. And that's one of the reasons I was afraid of our daughter to get the thyroid surgery, because I've heard so many terrible stories about anesthesia going wrong. And, these, the reason that people die during cosmetic surgery, you've heard stories of teenage girls dying during breast implants, is because they're not done in hospitals. They're done in doctor's offices and surgical centers. And a lot of times what happens, there's an emergency during the procedure, and because it's an office and a surgical center, not a hospital, They don't have all the equipment they need that a hospital OR would have in case of something going wrong in a surgery, and they can't react to it as fast. But I remember when there were controversies over the breast implants with high school girls, there were a lot of high-profile cases about this in the 90s that we used to talk about in talk radio. And what I always said was, what kind of parent would sexualize their daughter by doing this? And I remember hearing stories of parents when their daughters graduate high school getting their breast implants before they go off to college so they can sexualize their – and that's bad, and that's bad enough. Now we're in this new level of bizarreness where parents are having their children get sex change operations. And
crazy. What
it is, this is just my opinion. I'm not a mental health professional. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a psychiatrist. Some of you may think I need both.
But you are a father of a daughter. So.
But I got some common sense. But yeah. I think what's going on here with the trans movement, not just the ones that are having surgery, but all of it in general, I think it's a fad, like parachute pants and bell-bottom jeans. And
with the kids, yeah.
And I think it's a fad. And there was, in the late 80s, early 90s, there was a strange fad of people buying pot-belly pigs to have at home. And they would buy these tiny little pigs, and the person selling them the pig didn't tell them the pig was going to grow up to be 300 or 400 pounds, and it was a big problem, and the hoofs on the floors in the house don't really mix and all this stuff. And there was a big fad of that. And I remember going to the Humane Society where they have dogs and cats, and there were actually pot-belly pigs there. People were surrendering them to the Humane Society. There's these fads with this ripoff of these mutts that they call purebreds, like labradoodles and stuff. These mutts that they call new breeds and stuff like this. And there's a fad.
Yeah, that's what my sister has.
The trans
a labradoodle.
The entire trans movement is a fad. Okay, I'm not saying there aren't. Of course, there's always been people getting sex change operations since the 50s, and there's been transgender people. They call them different things, But the level that it's at now, it's a fad. Like when we were in high school, mousse and hairspray was a fad.
I think what they're doing is they're tapping into.
Well, when the fad's out, though, and you've had the surgery,
right?
What do you do? And the thing with the parents, see, I am of the opinion, and I know we've seen a story.
The parents are the problem. I'm sorry.
There's going to become a point. There's going to come a point where there's going to be a very high-profile lawsuit of a child who's now an adult suing their parents who have destroyed their life. I mean
like a really high.
I mean a high-profile civil trial that's carried on television, like on court TV. I know there's cases like this happening now, but they're being suppressed by the media. I believe there are going to be high-profile cases of doctors being arrested and, in the very least, losing their medical. I know things like this may be happening, but the news is suppressing it. I mean, there's going to be a high-profile case. Like, every once in a while, you'll hear about a doctor. There were some high-profile cases about this years ago, but now with DNA, it's not as common. Mm-hmm. But doctors who worked in, like, the artificial insemination business were using their own sperm. Remember these cases you've heard in the past, that very high profile? There's at some point, there's going to be a high profile case of a doctor who was talking people into having sex change operations who were children that should not have had them.
I think it's happening now. And I think the school counselors are in on it. Yeah. And I think what they're doing is they're tapping into the gay community. And what they're doing is they're finding kids that are gay. Okay, like say you got a boy who's gay and he's very effeminate. I think what they're doing is they're tapping into those young kids and convincing them, well, you're really a girl.
Yeah.
That's why you're so girly. And they're convincing them that they're really the wrong gender when they really probably wouldn't even think that. Well, it's kind of like, when you say you don't really realize you're mad till somebody tells you you're mad. They might not even think in those terms. But until somebody brings it up to them, or you have a girl who's very like butch, okay, and she's gay, and I had a friend like that in college who came out gay and was very mannish, and all of a sudden, and it was weird because she chopped her hair off and everything. Yeah. But she's still a woman. I mean, she's still a woman now. She married a woman, one of my sorority sisters. But in high school, they would see a girl like that, who's manly, guy, dresses like a guy, who's lesbian, and convince her, well, you're really a boy. You're not gay. You're really a boy in a girl's body. And if the girl is impressionable, which kids are, or feeling neglected at home or ignored, and then somebody comes along who's older and who has authority over them that they respect, they can get sucked into that. And the next thing you know, they're getting their privates changed.
Well,
it's crazy.
Well, I know that there's cases like this happening, but what I mean is there's going to be cases that get national attention that everyone's talking about. And that's when this fad will be
someday
ended.
For sure.
And let me know what you guys think in the comments. I think it's a fad. It's a dangerous
trendy.
fad.
I think it's trendy.
Yeah, isn't that what a fad is?
With parents, it seems to be it's trendy to have a transgender kid now.
Yeah.
Like you said, like having a Labradoodle.
Exactly, or the
I hate to trivialize it, but when you see some of these parents on TikTok, they are literally raising their babies to go genderless. Yeah. I saw one I tweeted on your Twitter, this woman who looks like a crazy person, and she's there with her 1-year-old, and she's saying that she's basically raising this baby genderless and teaching it to be a trans kid.
It's insane.
That's what they want. It's like a badge of honor.
I don't know how
sickos.
They don't lose custody of their children. Now, I want to thank our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. And if you would like to support the program, becoming a patron of the program is a great way to do that. And if you're a patron of the program, you get access to commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode, okay? And that's a great perk. Our top Patreon supporters get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every episode. And those of you that are top Patreon supporters, I know some of you know this, but you all may not know it, your names are listed in every podcast episode description, and you're also listed in my live streams on YouTube in the morning. Your names are also listed there, those of you that are top Patreon supporters. And the top Patreon supporters, of course, get a live on-air thank you shout-out on every podcast episode. So the names you will hear now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P., Carlos, Paulette, John, Arctic Fox, K-Mac, and Cindy. Now, if you'd like to become a patron of the program, there's a link to our Patreon page in the description of this and every episode. There's a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com, and the direct website address is patreon.com/realbriancraigshow. Patreon.com/realbriancraigshow. Now, we're going to
I have big news when we come back.
Okay, now we're going to take our last break. And this next segment, you will not want to miss, okay? Because there's some major news, and I'm not talking about the FBI infiltrating the Catholic Church. We'll get into that too, but there's a major, major story that we're going to get into that just broke right after this break.
Are you struggling to connect with your teen? Are you worried about the troubles your teen is facing in today's world? Don't miss out on the ultimate guide to faith-led parenting with the book from Script Seeds, Parenting Teens Through Faith, available on Amazon. Parenting Teens Through Faith is your essential handbook to raising confident, resilient, and empowered teenagers. This book provides practical advice for providing a strong, faith-based foundation for building character, virtues, and resilience in your teen. You'll also discover essential biblical principles for providing hope and confidence, no matter your faith background. Start building a stronger, more resilient family with Parenting Teens Through Faith, available in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover editions on Amazon. This book is perfect for church groups. Order your copy right now. You've got to check out the coolest phone case ever that even celebrities use. It sticks to any smooth surface using nanosuction technology. Go to PhoneGravityCase.com and check it out right now. You can take stunning selfies with it, make video calls, film TikTok videos at any angle without the hassle of bulky tripods or holders. And with its protective features, your phone's safe from damage. Get your Gravity Case right now at PhoneGravityCase.com. Don't miss out on this game-changing phone accessory. Visit PhoneGravityCase.com today. Are you tired of feeling stuck in a cycle of complaints and negativity? Do you want to cultivate a more positive and fulfilling life for yourself and those around you? Look no further than the book Living Without Complaint from author Emmy Kazanovic. In this powerful and practical guide, you'll discover how complaining impacts mental health, relationships, and productivity. You'll learn practical strategies for living without complaints, including mindfulness practices, gratitude exercises, positive self-talk, setting realistic expectations, and adopting a growth mindset. It's a must-read for anyone looking to bring more positivity into their life and a great eye-opener for chronic complainers. Living Without Complaint gives you the tools you need to overcome obstacles and maintain a complaint-free lifestyle. If you're ready to experience the wonders of a complaint-free life, don't miss out on the opportunity to read Living Without Complaint from author Emmy Kazanovic. Embrace your positivity and gratitude. Order your copy of Living Without Complaint on Amazon right now. Are you looking to make money through Forex trading? Look no further than Hyrax Forex. With over 5 years in the business and a community of over 6,000 members who are earning big profits every month, Hyrax Forex is a trusted and reliable choice for traders of all levels. To start your journey towards financial freedom, visit HyraxForex.com today and see why so many traders are choosing Hyrax Forex as their go-to trading platform. Don't miss out on the opportunity to join a winning team and achieve your financial goals. HyraxForex.com.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Now, before we get to this FBI story, which is very, very important because we're in a scary time in this country, there's a little bit of gossip here that just broke that, we definitely got to talk about. And it involves Sean Hannity. And this is in the Daily Mail. They're calling it an exclusive in the Daily Mail.
Yeah, just came out.
Yeah. Exclusive. It's a blended family affair. This is the headline. Fox News stars Sean Hannity and Ainsley Earhardt.
She's on Fox and Friends.
Are seen up close and personal in their first photos as a couple. As it's revealed, they're together in domestic bliss along with her 7-year-old daughter. They started out as best friends, two of the highest profile hosts on Fox News, but now their friendship has bloomed into a committed relationship so strong they've blended their lives and their families.
Yeah, I think that happened when he left his wife. I don't think this is a new thing. They're just coming out in public with it.
Yeah, and this has been talked about for a few years. She's 49, he's 61. Dating rumors started 3 years ago. They seem to be enjoying domestic bliss as a couple, stepping out and traveling together as a family. The two have remained tight-lipped.
I bet they have.
About their romance that's been growing day by day amid years of speculation. But now these new photos do the talking. Arm in arm over breakfast at a Waffle House in South Carolina in January, or cozying up over corn on the cob at the Oyster Festival on Long Island last fall. These never-before-seen photos show just how undeniable their bond has become. And she has a 7-year-old daughter that's always with them. Those close to the couple have confirmed that what began as a working relationship is now well and truly a family affair, with Hannity proving an adoring stepfather-like figure to her 7-year-old. Well, I guess good for them. I don't know. It's this is what I don't get about Ainsley.
This really burns me.
She's the Sunday school teacher over there at Fox News, right?
She has specials on Fox Nation. She's all religious, has a Bible study group and all. She's a homewrecker. I mean,
well, did he leave his wife for her?
Of course he did. They've been laying low for 3 years, so won't tarnish her reputation.
You think he left his wife for her?
Absolutely. Are you, Brian? You've always told me when a man leaves, it's for somebody else. They're not going to leave just to leave. There's always somebody in the wings, and a woman too.
When people get divorced, one of them has been someone new.
9 times out of 10.
And you can always tell which one it is, okay? If the woman has gotten a new hairstyle, it's her. If her hair is the same, it's him.
Do you think he would have gone through this expensive divorce where he lost half his fortune for nothing. He did it because of her. Obviously, he didn't do it just for kicks.
It's expensive.
He lost so much money in that divorce. He did it because he was in love with somebody else. She's a homewrecker. I'm sorry.
Shame
on her.
The thing with Hannity is he got famous and he wanted to be with more beautiful women than before he was famous kind of level he could get, I always thought. And he kept his divorce from his wife secret for years.
Yeah, to protect Ainsley.
I don't know how he kept it out of the news.
It's called money.
Well, you know what I'm wondering? Okay. There was, there's this story about the Inquirer, how they buy celebrity gossip from
catch and kill.
These catch and kills. I wonder if they did kind of a thing like that with Hannity, like tabloids, where they, in exchange for things that, interviews and things like this, they covered it up.
I think he gave his ex-wife a very nice settlement in exchange for her silence because she has been completely quiet. And I think that he's been with Ainsley since that time. He left his wife for Ainsley. And I think they have kept it very, very low profile until a respectable amount of time has passed. So they don't make it look like they broke up his family.
I don't respect that. We've been married, 26 years now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a long time. Okay. And what happens a lot of times with someone like Hannity is obviously he's super rich. He makes over $50 million a year doing his Fox show and the radio and all that. And of course, the ex gets half of it. And she was with him before he was rich and before he was famous, when he was struggling, and she struggled alongside of him. And then he becomes rich and famous.
That's awful.
And these beauty queens like Ainsley here are interested, and then all of a sudden he tosses her to the side. Now I know she's got half his money, and she's not hurting for money, but I think that says a lot of bad things about someone's character.
Especially when you're leading Bible studies on Fox Nation.
Well, Ainsley,
I think that says a hell of a lot about you.
This is the thing. I don't know that he left his wife for her. There could have been somebody in between.
No, it's been rumored that it was her for this whole time. I mean, I remember hearing that 3 years ago that he left for Ainsley Earhardt. I don't know. I heard it somewhere. Obviously, it was true because there he is with her. And he was just protecting her and her Christian image.
There could have been a woman in between.
No. I'm telling you.
Do you think he left his wife for Ainsley?
Absolutely. He would not go through such an expensive divorce just for some bimbo. This was for somebody he was serious about that he wanted to marry.
Kathy and I met Sean Hannity once, many years ago, like 20 years ago, at Walt Disney World.
Yeah, in Dumbo line.
Yeah, we were in line for Dumbo, and actually we walked by Dumbo, and I thought I saw Hannity in line.
It's when his hair was completely black.
And this was 20 years ago. And I said, Kathy, I think that's Sean Hannity in line for Dumbo. And I don't know. And I said, well, let's go ride Dumbo. And we went and rode Dumbo, and we very luckily the way we were in line through the turnstiles, we kept walking past him, and I wasn't sure it was him because he didn't have his makeup on and his hair was all messed up. So I just said, Sean. And he turned around and said, and then started. And he wasn't.
The show had just started on Fox.
He wasn't as famous as he is now. The show just
started.
And he had his daughter with him, who was a little baby, and we rode Dumbo together. We were in one Dumbo elephant with our daughter, and he was right behind us.
Yeah, he was holding his daughter. She was like little.
Yeah, and he got rich and famous, and then he left his family. And I don't respect that at all.
No, it's awful.
And I know some people that are listening will say, oh, people change everything. Ask yourself this, okay? If all of a sudden you started listening to the show next week and it was me and alone without Kathy, and you found out I was with a younger woman who's a model like Ainsley Earhardt, would you guys say, sometimes people are unevenly yoked and they move on?
I would hope you'd have my back,
Or would you guys think I was a scumbag?
I would think you were a scumbag.
I think you would think, and you'd be right. If you would be right. That's a scummy thing to do.
I understand people grow apart and everything. And look at Jesse Waters. I mean, there must be something at Fox News. He left his wife with 2 twin daughters. Something's going on at Fox, I guess. But I think she's a homewrecker. I don't know all the details about it.
We don't know if there was a woman in between.
No, because I've heard from the very beginning that
homewreckers are bad
he was
news.
with Ainsley Earhardt.
Kamala Harris is a homewrecker. Yeah, I don't.
Well, I've heard that it was her all along, and like I said, I think they've laid very low to protect her image because she does her Bible studies on the app. Give me a break. Meanwhile, she destroyed a marriage that was over 20 years plus with children involved. So I hope they enjoy they seem happy. Good for them. And I'm sure Hannity's wife has a nice settlement, but still the kids are the ones that suffer here.
So I'd like to ask you guys a question about this, okay? Because Ainsley she's the Bible girl over at Fox, right? With all the Bible specials. She's obviously not living a celibate relationship with Sean Hannity. They've been together for years, 7 years or several years, right?
Oh, wow, yeah.
Are they, is she being true to her Christian faith, involved in this out of wedlock thing going on here? Or is she a hypocrite? You guys let us know in the comments.
A bit of a hypocrisy.
I'm not happy, but I am shocked though that Hannity was able to keep all of this on the down low. We found out a few years ago that he left his wife. He had left his wife for years before he came out, and this has been rumors with her for the last few years. The media hate this guy, and
because obviously Ainsley and him are on the same page and have been working together to lay low. I just don't know how we kept it out of the tabloids. I just don't know. But now it's out there. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was a catch and kill situation.
Maybe they're planning on getting married. That's why they're going public now.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. So listen, I wanted to get to this story because this is the story in the title of the show and the thumbnail on YouTube and the title on the podcast platforms. And this is a big deal. And Jim Jordan, he is just an awesome guy. And originally being from Ohio myself, I got a connection to Jim Jordan because he's from Ohio. We went to Ohio State, and I didn't go to Ohio State, but I wish I did. But I thought I would when I was a kid, but I moved to Florida. But he uncovered something that's very, very shocking. Okay, and this is a story in Axios, but it's being reported everywhere. Jim Jordan issued new subpoenas to the FBI yesterday, demanding information about the FBI's alleged source development targeting Catholic churches in Richmond, Virginia. It's one of several angles the new weaponization committee is using to investigate the FBI. See, Jim Jordan has this weaponization of government committee going on because of what they did to President Trump. And what I came to realize growing up with all those J. Edgar Hoover rumors and movies and everything, I always thought that was BS, all the J. Edgar Hoover files. Now we know it's all true. It's all true, and it's never stopped. Jordan's committee, his weaponization committee, has questioned the FBI's handling of the Hunter Biden laptop story and subpoenaed the FBI as part of its probe into alleged bias in the government's investigation of school board protesters. Remember that? They were following and investigating parents going to school board meetings.
I remember that.
Yeah. Jim Jordan claims the subpoena is based on limited information provided to the committee, that the FBI relied on at least one undercover agent to produce its analysis and proposed that its agents engage in outreach to Catholic parishes to develop sources among the clergy and church leadership to inform on Americans practicing their Catholic faith. And Kathy and I are Catholic, but if this were a Protestant denomination they were doing this, I'd be very concerned. I'll read more of this story. What the FBI is doing is they're treating the Catholic Church like mosques were being treated after 9/11.
Yeah.
Okay? And this is what's going on. Donald Trump did something that I thought was impossible, and I don't think anyone thought this would ever happen. He overturned Roe v. Wade, right?
Incredible.
And
that's his biggest legacy to me.
And the left, when Roe v. Wade got overturned, there wasn't a lot of outrage about it, not as much as I would have expected.
I think they were surprised too.
Yeah, if Roe v. Wade would have been overturned in the 80s or 90s, the country would have been crazy.
Totally different.
And I agree. I think the left, I think they were just in shock. They didn't think it would happen. But at first I thought, you know what? The Democrats, I think, are happy with this because it gives them an issue. Vote for us. We'll get justices that'll bring back Roe v. Wade. But when you see that the way they're reacting, like AOC this week is talking about how they should ignore judges' rulings on abortion issues because they don't agree with that judge. You can't do that. So the pro-life movement, a lot of it is based inside the Catholic Church. And in fact, when Obamacare was being discussed, we were in Mass one Sunday, and they turned the Mass over to one of the priests for life.
Yeah, it's a big deal in the Catholic Church.
Yeah, and so a lot of you don't realize this because they may not be as vocal nationally, but the Catholic Church has more power in the government than you realize. There's a lot of Catholics in government at every level, not just the Democrats like Biden and Pelosi. A lot of Republicans in government, like on the Supreme Court. A lot of the Republicans on the Supreme Court are Catholic. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the pro-life movement comes through the Catholic Church in this country. Mm-hmm. And what they're doing is they're infiltrating. The FBI is infiltrating the pro-life movement inside the Catholic Church, like the FBI was infiltrating mosques after 9/11 looking for radical terrorists. They're viewing Catholic pro-life activists as terrorists now. And
or how they were infiltrating the Proud Boys.
That's what they're doing. And this is a very scary thing because to Catholics, abortion's a religious issue because Catholics believe that life begins at conception. That's why Catholics are against any type of activity outside of reproduction and marriage that involves, I don't have to tell you guys, okay? You guys can figure that part out. And it's a big deal. It's a religious issue. This is a religious violation, but it also shows you where the heart and mind of the Biden regime are, that they believe that pro-life activists, they believe that parents at school board meetings that don't agree with the school board on things and want to change things because their kids go to those schools are domestic terrorists like Al-Qaeda was after 9/11.
Well, maybe it's also about infiltrating groups and psyops and getting in there and getting a leadership position. Like they did with like Proud Boys and other groups like that.
That's exactly what they're doing.
To have a powerful position to change policy
that's
or to affect it in that manner too.
So, what's happened since Biden came into office has been a major transition in this government. Okay, obviously the deep state and these organizations have had a lot of power and been doing terrible things. We saw what they did to President Trump, but they've stepped up the game a lot because they lost so much power.
And for sure, ever since Trump came along, and like we've talked about, and they have lost because they see the real polls and they know. I didn't know that 500,000 African Americans voted for Trump from Chicago.
The media don't want you to know that.
Just in Southside Chicago,
it's crazy.
They don't want you to know that, and they don't tell you, but they know, and they're panicked, and they're losing their control, so their grip is getting tighter. But you know what they say about that? That's not going to work out for them in the end.
This is the thing, and I've talked about this a few times on the show, but not for a while. So I want to explain this to people. A lot of you don't realize this because you're kind of new to politics since Trump came down the escalator. And I've been following this for 35 years, okay? 35 years now. Before Obama, conservatives were not activists. Conservatives started to become activists. I know there's always been pro-life activists and things like this, but in general, conservatives are not activists because they're too busy to be activists. They got jobs. And when Obama was president and was pushing Obamacare, the Tea Party formed. I'm not going to go through the whole history of it, but because of social media, conservatives were able to become organized activists in a way where they could set up events. It started on Facebook groups because Twitter wasn't really a thing.
That's what's bothering them is that, and they're being effective.
Yeah, and that started back in 2008, 2010. So we only have about 15 years of conservatives being activists. It was all the activist movements of the past. It started with the Tea Party and now it's MAGA, right?
Yeah.
All the activist movements in the past were liberal groups, right?
For the most part.
Yeah. And the government and the deep state and all that have always been liberal. They're always Democrat liberal. And they're losing more and more power every election cycle because conservatives are organized, peaceful.
Look at this Moms of Liberty group in Florida. They're huge. The Moms of Liberty. They are. Yeah. They just took another book out of. The liberals like to say we're book burners. There was a book in a school in Port St. or Vero or somewhere on the Treasure Coast. It was a graphic novel about Anne Frank. So it was like a comic book.
Oh yeah,
and. Which is an important story to tell. But there was a scene in the book where she was naked with another girl and they wanted to touch each other.
Oh, my goodness. Anne Frank?
That's not in Anne Frank's
filth.
diary. That's filth.
That's filth.
So one of the Moms of Liberty, who's this big, big organization in Florida, they even work with Governor DeSantis to take care of this stuff in the schools, saw this book in the library of her kid's school. went to the librarian. They got that book removed out of the school. But the liberals will tell you that we're book burners or we're censoring.
Yeah.
No, but that is twisting a horrible story. Anne Frank's diary is like a first-person primary source account of what happened to her, before she was taken to the concentration camp and her family. And this is taking such an important, serious story and twisting it into something sick and sexual. I mean, what is wrong with these people?
Yeah, so
that's a powerful group, the conservative,
that's right.
that freaks liberals out.
So what's going on here with this Catholic Church story is the government is trying to stop conservative activism, so they're infiltrating all of the conservative groups.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And it's a very scary thing. This is like the Soviet Union. This is like East Germany.
Yeah.
This is not a free country that we're living in now. And you really have to handle yourselves accordingly. I try to explain this to people. Yeah. This is not a free country, not like it was before Trump left office for his first term. It'll be free again when Trump's second term starts. But that's the sad reality that we're in right now. And Jim Jordan is a great American hero.
He is.
To make this story public, because to me, this is one of the most frightening things I've ever heard. And this is a violation of the religious rights of Catholics, that they consider our religious beliefs to be hostile, where they have to infiltrate pro-life movement inside the Catholic Church. And I know you've heard about pro-life activists being arrested and things like this. It's being drug out of their homes. It's crazy that these things are happening, but you know what? They are. And
scary and frightening, and
it is,
like you said, you have to be really careful. It's good to be see what is true, and what you're saying is you're seeing conservatives becoming politically active for the first time.
That's right.
There's people in my family that have become poll workers and joining groups now. There's new groups popping up. There's much more interest from conservatives in politics, and they're taking action now to actually try to help fix things and stop what's happening in this country right now. And that's got the left freaked out. So you're right. So they're infiltrating these groups and getting in and pretending they're on your side, but they're really not. They have other intentions there. And you do have to be really careful if you're politically involved. You have to be really careful and just really pay attention to what's going on. Don't be paranoid about it, but just pay attention and just, be careful about things.
Absolutely. Now, before we go, I got to talk about the Thomas Edison of sleep, Mr. Mike Lindell. And there's two specials I want to tell you about today, but you can take advantage of all the specials at mypillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. And when you use our promo code Kane, it's a great way for you to support this program and all the content I bring you, which is not just the podcast, but my YouTube channel, the Steve Kane Radio Show. You're supporting all of that when you use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. All right? And I know you guys do a great job, because Mike Lindell's office tell me all the time the great response they get from the audience of this program, and it's greatly appreciated. But I want to tell people about the MyPillow 2.0 with cooling technology, which is a major upgrade on the MyPillow that started it all. It still has that patented fill, but now it has this material on the outside, the case, the cover of the pillow, that has cooling technology so that your head and face never get hot at night. You will never flip your pillow over again because it's hot. And it's really amazing. And isn't it, Kathy, how it works? I mean, I saw the commercial for Mike Lindell talking about it, but to experience it is amazing. And tomorrow will be 2 months that we've been sleeping on our MyPillow 2.0, and it's fantastic. And a great companion to that are the MyPillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets. We have 6 sets of these. They're buy one, get one free. They come in every mattress size. They come in regular and flannel. They come in solids, and there's also patterns and stripes and all kinds of different types of them. And the MyPillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets, which are buy one, get one free with our promo code Kane, also perfectly regulate your body temperature. No matter what the temperature is in your room, no matter what time of year it is, you are always the perfect temperature in your bed with the MyPillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets. That Giza cotton is the best cotton in the world, and it regulates your body temperature. You got your 100% MyPillow Giza Cotton Dream Sheets and your MyPillow 2.0 with cooling technology. You're going to sleep better and more soundly than you've ever slept in your life. I promise you. I'm telling you that because That's my experience. It's Kathy's experience. And all of you that have them, you know what I'm talking about. So go to mypillow.com and order yours using our promo code KANE at checkout, KANE. Well, guys, listen, thanks for tuning in. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We will talk to you next time.
Are you a truck or car enthusiast looking to upgrade your ride? Look no further than GroundZeroCustoms.com. GroundZeroCustoms.com is an online store specializing in aftermarket performance and appearance upgrades. They have a vast inventory of high-quality parts and accessories, and they have everything you need to take your vehicle to the next level. GroundZeroCustoms.com offer the best brands in the business, including Baja Designs, Mickey Thompson Tires, 4Play, and that's just the beginning. Whether you're looking for lighting upgrades or suspension modifications, they have you covered. Plus, GroundZeroCustoms.com understand that each vehicle is unique, which is why they offer a wide range of specialized parts and accessories. Upgrade your ride and make it truly your own. Go to GroundZeroCustoms.com and discover the possibilities. You will find an unbeatable selection and everything you need to take your vehicle to the next level. Start shopping right now at GroundZeroCustoms.com.